Shankar, very good afternoon to you. Good to have you with us on Business Today Television on the budget day. Tell us, how did you find the budget, your first take?
Well, this is not really a budget, Sakshi. This is a. I can see my dear friend Shell here. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, Shell. I mean, the women obviously take priority in the way we look at life, right? So,
I know my place.
and I know where I should be looking. So,
All credit to Sakshi.
100%, obviously. Okay, Sakshi, with all the compliments that you have received, that which
Thank
a
you.
finance minister should have received. Okay, so this is not really a real full blown budget in that sense. I mean, we all know that it's just a vote an account, uh, and I think it has done what it was supposed to do, which is not to ruffle any feathers, not to upset the apple cart. The apple cart looks nice and fine, and it has just been a fairly surface level budget, kept the kind of broad thematics the same, not rocked the boat, not made any changes, not huge announcements. So by and large, I mean, we can keep discussing a lot about it, but the reality is that I think whatever momentum we are seeing should continue for FY25 on the growth numbers, on the capex numbers. So I don't see any major problem. I mean, of course, I mean, we will do some more research later after the rush of the TV channels is over. But I mean, I think broadly we are quite okay.
Absolutely, Shankar, and you put it very rightly that nothing has been done anything to upset the apple cart, and the apple cart looks very good. Now, you've been one of the best momentum investors and traders that Dalal Street has seen over the last 3 decades, and
No,
this
no, no, no,
market.
no, 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 no. That goes to Nitish Kumar. Sorry, I mean, as we all know. So he is also from Bihar. I'm also from Bihar, but
Absolutely, जी, जी.
I have to doff my hat to him. He has beaten me in the momentum game. So yeah.
Well, that is a comment that we'll push towards India today in the political stock exchange show. But on our side, the economic stock exchange is, the game is completely in your favor. Anything that you touch in terms of the PSU basket, or as we say, low ticket, high beta items, is doing phenomenally well. Deep inside you, are these worrisome signs, or are you really enjoying the flow?
So I don't buy PSUs, and I definitely don't sell them either. So I have really zero interest, and you can call me old fashioned or dated or whatever you want to call me, but my belief is that there are far easier ways to make money in this world, and which is to stay with the private sector, not the public sector. But every theme in the market will have its place under the sun, Shell. I mean, every theme. The worst companies can do the best. The best companies may not do as well. As we have seen, the blue chips of the year,
Yes.
HDFC Bank, Asian Paints, etc., have been huge disappointers in the last 3 years' time. While the less fancied ones, like the Adani Group, did phenomenally well. Then it came crashing down. Then it's gone back up. So in markets, we should not become too intellectual. Meaning that we should not say that a theme today will be a theme tomorrow, and vice versa. If you believe that markets are basically rational for very little time and largely irrational, then a PSU revival should not be coming as any surprise to us. I mean, it is par for the course, Shell. I mean, but I've not bought any of them.
Absolutely, and that truth needs to be noted. So, how are you deploying fresh money, or how are your existing investments doing at this point of time, Shankar?
Existing investment are doing very, very well, obviously. I mean, I'm squarely in the middle of this bull market because for right or wrong reasons, I spotted 3 years back the small caps would by far and handily beat large caps. And that thesis, I mean, frankly, has surprised me too. I mean, by the extent of the outperformance
Yes.
of the small cap versus the large caps. Even I did not expect that kind of a gap, but the gap is there, is real. It has been profitable. People have profited from it. I have profited from it. So I do not think, of course, there are biases involved. I do not own a single large cap stock, and I own a basket of small cap stocks. I believe the small cap is the only game in town insofar as India is concerned. and I'll say this unequivocally, clearly, that in my view, large caps are hitting a ceiling in terms of their size, in terms of sheer numbers that they have to move the needle for them is going to be an uphill climb. And one of the critical things here, which came out of this vote on account, was the embedded nominal GDP growth number, which was about, I think, 10.5% or something of that sort. That, to my mind, is the central clue to deciphering where the trend is going to be, large cap or small caps. Nominal GDP growth is what drives corporate earnings, and corporate earnings largely are comprised of large cap earnings, because small cap numbers by in percentage terms, they don't add up much to overall corporate profits. All right, we all know that. Large cap profits are nothing but a mirror of the nominal GDP growth of an economy. So if nominal GDP growth is going to be 10-11%, not the 15-17% we have seen for the last 10-15 years, then it is impossible for in aggregate for large caps to do more than 10-11% earnings growth. If anything, there are going to be lags involved. So if the large cap, if the headline number for nominal GDP growth is going to be 10%, you can be reasonably certain that large cap earnings growth might be even just 5% or 6%. With that kind of numbers and elevated valuations, I do not see how large caps are going to give you a fixed deposit beating returns from here on. And they have not, by the way, they have not done anything much anyway over a extended period of time. So the game just comes back to small caps, because for small caps, none of this matters. I mean, growth, real GDP growth, inflation, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, because they are, I won't say immune, but they are less exposed to big macro
Absolutely.
data and big macro numbers. तो अगर छोटी
Absolutely.
कंपनी है, उसका 50 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट है, उसको दो चार ऑर्डर मिल जाते हैं कहीं से, तो 50 का 150 करोड़ हो सकता है. But for a Larsen and Toubro, the needle to move needs a nominal GDP growth of 15-16%, which I don't think is going to happen. That is where the reason to explain the divergence between large cap performance and small cap performance lies.
And truly, if you look at the last 18 months, price at any quality at any price, this investment theme has come under a very severe dent as far as performances of well-known funds is concerned. But coming back to your theme, since you have already invested very deeply into small caps, any fresh ideas that you've got into over the last 1 month or 3 months or so?
So, I mean, last 3 months, I've done two transactions on the primary market side. So, I bought a company called Thomas Scott, which is a fashion retailer primarily. But the reason why I bought it was not because of that. I bought it because they have an interesting technology piece within the company. It was again a small cap company. And the second one, which I think probably today or yesterday got announced, I'm not sure it's already come out or not, but I think it probably has, is Valiant Communication, which is a technology company involved in telecom tech. It's been around a while, but numbers seem to be good. They've got some order wins in the bank. Again, small cap company, but that's where the needle can move sharply, Shell. I mean, this is a company with a profit of a few crore rupees, looking at a few tenders opening in the next,
Yes.
5-6 months time. Even 50% of those wins can make this few crores can become multiples of crores. So, I mean, that's the game I am playing, Shell, and I'm thankful that I played that game last 3 years, to be honest with you. And I don't want to ever buy HDFC Bank.
Let me just get this company on the screen. It's called Valiant Communications. This sadly is on the Bombay Stock Exchange. A 5% circuit filter again at 380, and very well put. This is one of the telecom gear suppliers that's done phenomenally well. If you look at the 1-year return, I'm sure it's about 60-70%, and Mr. Sharma has gotten at current levels. What was the other stock in the IPO space, Shankar, that you suggested? I'm sorry,
Not
we didn't
IPO,
catch
that
the
was
name.
again a preferential. No, it was not IPO, it was a listed company. It's called Thomas Scott.
Thomas Scott. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get this one in. Yes, of course. It's well, uh, because you are in it, it moves circuit to circuit at 305. little liquidity here, but now that you are into the system, I'm sure this will open up to the retail space as well. So Thomas Scott and Valiant Communications are two stocks that Shankar has gotten over the last 2 or 3 odd months, and that's both of them are doing phenomenally well. Amongst the broader spaces which this budget seemed to address, Shankar, was the housing theme, and it's been a cornerstone of the current rally that we see, whether it is in stocks like HUDCO or into the real estate space on the larger side, of course. And the themes that we talk about always, paints, plywood, and so on. Do you think this one has legs?
So, I mean, I have actually played the housing theme. I've played it through another company that I've owned for the last 1.5 years called Rama Pipes. Again, that's done well. I think probably I got in the teens somewhere. I think it's 45 rupees now. Again, it's a supplier of pipes, which directly goes into construction, housing, building facades, all kinds of things. So I played that theme, and the other company I've owned within this is a small Bombay-based redeveloper called Sumit Woods, which again I think I got in the early teens about a year back. I think it's 50, 55 rupees or so. Very interesting company, small company, but very well managed company. Again, it just focuses on the MMRDA area itself within a few suburbs in Bombay.
Sumit Woods.
uh, and yeah, Sumit Wood. So again, I have played the housing theme for the last 1 year. It's not a new one for me, because you see, when the stock market does well, the money flows into real estate. We all know
Yes.
that there is a lagged effect of the stock market's impact on real estate. So I figured the stock market is doing well, real estate will do well, and I was lucky to find a few plays who are suppliers to real estate, as well as the real estate redevelopment company, which is Sumit Woods. So yeah, I mean, actually, I'm right in the middle of that trend.
Okay, let me just clarify. Sumit Woods, we did get it was somewhere like 44, sorry, 54 rupees. You're talking about Rama Steel Tubes, which at the moment is at about 44 rupees. We just want to get the stocks right and their prices right.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So Rama Steel is around 44, 45. Sumit Woods, I think, is about 54, 55.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of those rare days that Shankar opens up on his own personal portfolio. 4 names for you: Valiant Communications, Thomas Scott, Sumit Woods, and of course Rama Steel Tubes. Wonderful going, Shankar. I will not upset the apple cart at all. It looks to be very good. Now tell us more names now that you are becoming a bit more voluble. I'm just wondering if there's a wine glass in front of you.
So for the wine glass, I'll have to wait for you to come to Dubai. Right now, it's just coffee. But
Okay.
Shankar,
but
I
no,
was.
no. I mean, all this is
Yes.
public information anyway. I'm not
Yes.
revealing any state secret. This is all
Yes.
publicly known. So it's fine. But like I said, and we have spoken many times offline also, Shell, that the game really in India at small caps. I mean, we are blessed to have been born in India, where
Yes. Yes.
entrepreneurial energy is so strong, and thanks to exchanges like SME, etc., that's now given an outlet to smaller companies to go public much earlier in their life cycle, rather than wait कि 1,000 crore टर्नओवर होगा, 200 crore प्रॉफिट होगा, तब बीएसई एनएसई की लिस्टिंग करेंगे. अभी 5, 10, 15 crore की प्रॉफिट पर भी you can see companies hitting the market. So we have to catch them young. I mean, that is the fact. And today companies are going public quicker, which means that the building of scale that otherwise might have taken 5 saal, now they can do that in 2 years because the capital is available to them. So I just think we are in just such an amazing situation in history where small cap exchanges have encouraged companies to go public earlier than otherwise, because big board listings obviously have more onerous requirements. Time लगता है उसमें. So because of that, we are now being, I mean, I'm not saying all of them are good company. I think a lot of rubbish will come out in SMEs and all that. Let's be prepared for that. But I'm a capitalist. I believe that capitalism is ultimately all about a few bad ones, which actually prove that the good ones ought to have been also out there in the public domain. That you will not get only bad ones. Okay. So, in a capitalistic society, there's room for everybody. Let the buyer beware. You will lose a few, you'll get a few bad ones. We also do get a few bad ones. Part and parcel of the game of investing. But we are blessed. We are really, I mean, every day I see transactions, deals, company which are so exciting that actually I have to turn away a few because I don't want to sell the ones that I have. And that's a real problem. It's a capital problem.
Wonderfully mentioned all of this, Shankar. I also wanted to, before we let you go, ask your view on Paytm and what has really happened yesterday and the reaction to Paytm. Of course, we've spoken to you a hell lot of times as far as the startup space is concerned. But what is really going wrong with such companies just after they were showing some promise on the profitability front? Sudden roadblocks.
So look, I'm no expert on any of this, and I don't want to be flippant in my comments. I do believe RBI is a good institution, unlike many other institutions in India, where I have always said that, oh, all kinds of crazy orders are passed, or किसी पे income tax search होता है in which crazy numbers are thrown out, which eventually don't hold up in a court of law. We have seen, and there was a recent very celebrated case of a search also on a listed company. And I said that abhi wait karo, abhi to matlab, what, there's one version out there, there are other versions in the court of law, and the final version may be very different from what is being put out on the day of the search. But RBI is a good institution. I have a lot of respect for it. When they say something, we should pay a little bit more attention to it. That said, I think for probably it might well be the case. I don't think there is deliberately anything wrong that Paytm might have done, but I just think a lot of the startups probably need to grow up in terms of compliances, systems, processes. Because देखो क्या होता है, I mean, an HDFC Bank was run by very able bankers, Aditya Puri and his team. Those people had been in banking for 20, 25 years before they started HDFC Bank. And then it had a parentage of HDFC itself, which had been in the finance business again for a few decades. So you're ingrained, embedded knowledge, management, systems, process, data, everything. Here, startups get a lot of capital, and overnight you're supposed to suddenly become a very great lender or a very great fintech guy. I don't think you can compress learning quickly. आपको आप नो मैटर हाउ बिग अ जीनियस यू आर, केजी में आपको 10th स्टैंडर्ड की पढ़ाई में कराऊंगा तो आप फेल करोगे ही करोगे साहब. बॉटम लाइन यही है. अब बाद में 10th में जाके आपको बड़े आराम से आप पास करोगे वही टेस्ट जो 10 साल पहले आप फेल करोगे. आई थिंक इट्स द सेम थिंग. दे हैव ग्रोन टू फास्ट. No, I'm not talking Paytm in particular. Most of the startups, especially where it is a very highly regulated industry, not like Zomato or the Nykas where there is no regulation. Finance is highly regulated, and it's possible that in the path to growing very fast, you might have not had perfect systems or compliances. I think that is what effectively, in my very surface level reckoning, comes out. I don't think there is malfeasance involved. I just think it is too fast of a growth in a highly regulated industry.
And that's beautifully explained as far as Paytm is concerned. Yes, one of the best regulators in the world is RBI, and they take a lot of effort before coming out with this kind of a stricture as far as any company is seen. We've seen the banking sector over the last 3 decades, and it's rare for this kind of an action, and I'm sure it's related to growth.